Hello, students, and thank you for selecting this next career day interview. I am happy to be interviewing Andreas Zenker, who is a software engineer, and I would like to give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about your career and any steps that you had to take to get to where you are now. So welcome, Andreas.
Okay, well, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad that you decided to listen in. So I'm a software engineer for the past 20 or so years. I did not become a software engineer right out of school. I actually went into truck driving for a while, some other jobs. But around 30, I decided I wanted to go back to school and retrain. I had worked with computers as a young person. We owned a computer, one of the first computers. My dad was a little ahead of the curve, which was great. So I got to play around on computers as a kid. And I was able to take that experience and get some training and get into a different work environment. So for the last 20 years, I've been trying to work on my computer programming career/skills, having a really good time of it, and glad I made the switch when I did.
I'm glad that your story isn't a typical one. I think it's important for kids to hear that you may start in one frame of mind for your future and that can change, but it sounds like you took a risk that really worked out for you. So that's great. I'm wondering, could you walk us through a typical day in your job? So what might someone expect in terms of tasks in your job?
So yeah, that's going to be different depending on, well, obviously where you work, but also where in your career you are. When you first start out, when I first started out, a typical day would be usually some early morning meetings. The development mindset of the day is that teams get together on a daily basis, talk about what they're working on, and so kind of set their goals for the day. And then everybody goes off and does their work. We call them tickets. They're little items in a work tracking board, probably similar to your Google Classroom assignments, where you can see when you were assigned it and what you have to do. And then you work on those through the day. As you grow as a software engineer, you're going to find that you do less actual software and more meetings and more planning, more helping other people and mentoring and teaching. So that's definitely a transition, especially as you grow and become more valuable as an engineer. You end up doing less engineering, which is kind of a sad reality, but it's a good thing at the same time because you get to help other people more. So.
Sounds like it could be a variety, like you said, depending on where you're at in that position.
Yeah, so a typical day for me now is anywhere from 30 to 70% meetings, having design discussions, very early discussions about what a customer needs or wants, how we're going to solve that problem, or maybe meetings around a bug or something that's not working correctly that we're trying to solve. And then the other 30 to 50, 60% of the day will be me actually trying to work on some of those problems.
Great, thank you. So what do you love most about your job?
I love solving problems. I really do. I love puzzles in a general sense, not every kind of puzzle, but just having a problem to solve to me is like a motivation. I get a lot of satisfaction. And the more that something has been stuck and other people have not been able to solve it, it makes me feel that much better when I can solve it. I also love, I like math a lot. I didn't get that far in math in school because I was lazy and I was a kid. I wish I could go back and take a lot more because now it just fascinates me. So just that whole interaction with the computer and understanding what it's doing at the lowest levels and how we can get it to do what we want it to do. That to me is fun.
That's great. And it ties in well to our next question because it sounds like that ability to problem solve is a really important skill needed to do your job well. And I'm wondering, there could be kids who selected this video because they want to go into this career. So what other skills might you say are important or have helped you to do your job well, whether that be soft skills or more trainable skills?
Okay, so as far as the trainable skills, obviously computer programming, basics of computer algorithm, those are a good starting point. But they're not the most important thing, really. The problem solving ability and desire are very good. They're nice to have. They're excellent. You find that people have problem solving skills in different ways. Some people can solve a problem verbally and explain it really well. And then another person is really good at taking that and translating it to computer code. So there's room for both. You don't have to be a math geek to work in the computer field. So that leads me to the skills that I really like to emphasize for people is communication skills, being able to communicate verbally and written form. Yeah, verbally. Being able to communicate better. If you can take information, digest it, and simplify it to explain it to other people, that is going to help you so much in any career. But I find especially in software, because the problems get complicated and people get confused and lost in the details. And if you can be someone who can sort that out and explain it, then if you can also turn that into computer code, well, that's just a big win. But even if you can just understand how it could be, you can bridge that gap. You'll be somebody who has value in a computer related field, because that ability to translate and communicate is really key.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. For someone who has experienced some issues with that, I always do better when someone can really thoroughly break it down for me. So that's a great point. So what are some challenges that you face in your job?
Communication can be a challenge. And dealing with people, another good thing is people skills. You have to be able to find common ground and they use that phrase teamwork. But it's just more really learning how to work with people of different temperaments and personalities. So that's a challenge. The biggest challenge I find is time management. There's always more to do in any given day than you have time for, not just life. But in computer software, I find the time challenge also manifests in that to really solve some problems, you need focus. You need to be able to really give dedicated time to a problem, to think about it. And the world today is interrupt driven. Our phones buzz, our Facebook, or this or that. We have meetings, and it can be a challenge to manage your time in a way that you're focused on one thing at a time. And that's a challenge I struggle with pretty much every day.
It's a great point. Doing these interviews, we hear a lot about being a self-starter, self-motivated, knowing that you need to get a task done and getting it done. It sounds like that's a challenge in your job and something that you'd have to really commit to.
Another challenge I want to highlight, just specific for software engineering, is that when I first started, pretty much everything I needed to know in my day-to-day job could be fit in one book that was about this thick. It was a big book, but it was one book. And I knew that book backwards and forwards, and I could answer pretty much any question. There isn't enough books now to capture everything. So there can be a challenge to think you need to know everything, and you don't. You need to know what there is to know, but you don't have to know it exhaustively. So that can be a challenge. Less and less people are experts at only one given thing. So you kind of have to know what's out there. So keeping up to date can be a challenge. But again, don't set the bar so high that you feel like you have to know everything, because you just have to know how to know things, how to learn things, which is what I'm always trying to teach my son. It's not about what you learn, it's about learning how to learn, because you never stop. You're always going to have to learn something new.
Right. So I'm wondering, what is your work environment like?
Okay, so right now my work environment is my living room. My home office is under renovation in the basement right now, so it's getting better. Prior to the pandemic, we had a big office suite up in Albany. I work for a company up in Albany, and they have what they call an open floor plan with like 300-400 people of all different departments. That includes, billing and sales and research and IT infrastructure. And I think we probably had somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 plus software engineers in the building. It was a decent amount. So I had a desk that was probably maybe 6 feet wide with no walls. And there was people on either side of me and across from me. I'm not a big fan of the open environment. So I'm actually kind of happy at home in front of my computer. The one thing my company did have that was really nice physically was these very comfortable office spaces because there was a lot of meetings, and being able to meet and talk face to face is the one thing I miss about being at home. To communicate, it's more than just typing and talking on a Google Meet. If you can see somebody face to face, you can solve problems a lot quicker. So that's one challenge to being at home. But the most important thing about a work environment is that you like the people you work with, and that it's a nice, satisfying and rewarding place to be. The amount of money and the technology they work with, those are secondary, because if you don't like where you work, it's gonna ruin the whole thing. So when you go looking for a job, no matter what it is you look for, interview the company as much as they're interviewing you. You want to know what their personality is and that you're going to be happy working there.
Yeah, you want to be a good fit. I think that's great advice. So another question would be, what are the salary ranges for various levels in this field? And would you say that there are opportunities for advancement in either salary or position?
Yes, to both. It's a wide range. I did some Googling this morning just to see like what some of the websites online say for our area. And I saw everything from like 50,000 to 130,000, with the median being around 70. And I think that's a pretty fair estimate. I don't know what they're offering kids just out of school these days. I know it was a lot less when I came out of school, but I have found that if you prove that you are dependable and a good person, that there's definitely room to move up, not just in position. So I started out as a junior developer, as it was called at the time. Now I'm what they call a staff engineer. So it's like in my current organization, it's like the second from the top that I can get to and stay as an engineer, which is cool. I like it. Every company calls them different things, so don't get hung up on the name too much. But yeah, there's definitely room. It's obviously a in-demand market still, and because of the pandemic, the opportunities to work remotely have increased dramatically, and will probably stay that way. So that's if that's something that you think you could identify with. I will call out that working from home brings a whole new set of challenges, and it's not as much of a desirable thing as everybody thinks it is. It can be a lot harder to work from home. So just don't make that your only deciding factor.
Right. Thank you. So I'm wondering, were there any classes that you took when you were school age? So whether that be in middle school or high school, that you feel relate to your career now, or that you might encourage a student to participate in to kind of give them a leg up to prepare for a career like this?
Okay. Well, math is definitely, if you're a math person and you like math, definitely pursue it and enjoy it, and try to pursue it for the fun of it. I know that's hard to say, fun in math. Trust me, you'll get there at some point. Math wasn't fun for me till like 10th grade, and then it got fun. Especially if you want to become a deep like systems programmer, the math will help, but it's not a requirement. My school, when I moved to Johnstown, was one of the earlier schools to have a computer program. And so I was able to cram like 3 years of computer science into 2 years, my last 2 years, which was helpful. So if your school offers computer science, by all means, take it. Looking back now, I'd say the other things that helped me the most were probably English classes. I really wasn't fond of grammar, I'll be honest, but like independent reading, I took some elective courses in my senior years for like elective reading, and that really, I think, helped reading comprehension and communication skills. Any communication related courses would be good too.
That's
Typing,
great advice.
take typing.
Oh,
For goodness sake, take typing.
I think that that's been another unexpected perk of all of this working from home, is really students have had to rely on their technology and are hopefully becoming better typers because of it. But you bring up a good point, and I'll throw a plug out there for the kiddos that we do offer computer science coursework through our math department, and kids can even earn Sienna college credit if they take 2 of the courses in it. So it gives them a great taste of what to expect, and a wonderful opportunity to do it while they're in high school when it's cheaper and you have the help of those teachers nearby. So thank you for putting that out there. That really wrapped up my questions for today, Andreas. I want to thank you for your time and volunteering to be a part of our annual career day, and really to continue with these videos to show students what it's all about. So if you have anything else to say, you can certainly do so, but I just want to thank you for your time.
Thank you. It was fun. I appreciate being asked.